Here's the contingency plan, right? Now we're going to really add upon this risk register that we've been building. All right, so now we're going to develop these strategies and we're going to address the risk with those risks that have the highest impact. So if you remember, I've been talking about it. We're going to look to address the risks that have the highest impact first. We're going to try to mitigate those risks, avoid them if we can, and then the rest of the risk, we'll kind of, we'll get to them if we get to them. So we'll come up with the risk owners, and we'll come up with strategies. All right, so let's talk about these 3 bullet points here. So still taking the plans, those are guiding our approach. Still using the documents that we've been using, the same documents we've been using, we're still analyzing those. All right, we're still using the same, we're still operating under the same EEFs and utilizing the same OPAs. And, tools and techniques, we're using our expert judgment. We're now gathering data, but now interviewing people, because now that we're responding to risk, this is now there's more of the human element. It's not just like data on paper. So a little more of the interview skills here. Now you see the facilitation, your interpersonal and team skills kind of come out, because this is more of the strategic, and tactical piece here. So we have all of these strategies. We'll talk about these. And then the outputs, updates. We're obviously going to update the risk register and the risk report, and you see those down there, right? We may update any of our baselines depending on the risk that we find, if we can or can't achieve the scope or the time frame allotted or the cost restrictions in any of our approaches. All right, so those are the outputs here. So if we'll start there, all right? Looking at the we'll start there. We'll start going back on me. All right. We'll start there with the outputs, the risk register, the risk report, and the project documents that need to be updated. Okay, we may get change requests as well. A change to the design, right? We saw that in the case study, right? Just based on what's happening. Change to our approach, a change to, and you saw that in that case study where they talked about, okay, well, if we simply change our approach to how we scheduled the activities, right? So that right there was a change to the schedule management plan, an update to the schedule management plan, right, per se, because now we're changing our approach. We didn't necessarily change, and that changed the schedule per se, but we didn't necessarily change the schedule, we changed the approach, and that in effect changed the schedule, right? So that's what we're really looking at here, is we're looking at what's gonna be impacted and how we do it. We'll take the risk register as the input, obviously, that's what we need. Any documents that we've been looking at so far in terms of the project schedule itself, the project budget, any lessons learned, right, the plans that we have. And now there's strategies for threats and strategies for opportunities. So the threats are the negative risk. So I want you to remember this, that threats cost you money. Threats cause you to go to the bank. Threats cause you to go to the ATM. Strategies for threats: avoid, transfer, mitigate. I got to go to the ATM. A threat's coming, it's going to cost me money. I'm going to the ATM, avoid, transfer, mitigate. Right. Now you can escalate and accept both positive and negative risk, or threats and opportunities. So I'll come to those in a second. So avoid, transfer, mitigate, right? So let's set it up. I'm going to a wedding in a couple weeks, so I'm going to use that. So let's say that we are a wedding planning company. We're an event planning company. We're a project management company, and we plan events, right? And so we're planning this wedding, and we plan weddings for rich and famous people, maybe, right? And so our clients want to have an outdoor wedding on a golf course next weekend. But we look at the forecast, and the threat of rain is looming. It's going to rain. It's going to rain next weekend, and our clients want to have an outdoor wedding. All right. So the only way to avoid this threat of rain is to do something different. The only way that you can avoid a threat is to change something. You must do something different. So we can change the date of the wedding. Hopefully, it doesn't rain on a Friday or Sunday. We can change the location. Let's go to a different city. Or we can change the type of event we're going to have. We are not going to have an outdoor wedding. We're going to have an indoor wedding. Okay? So that's the only thing that we can do to avoid a risk is to change something. All right, so when you're taking the exam, you have to describe the fact that you've changed your path or changed your decision, or you're doing something different than what the original plan was, right? So that's a void. We could transfer this threat, shifting ownership to a third party. Usually the exam talks about some sort of insurance policy. That's how they'll describe it. They'll describe it like you're getting some insurance policy. So maybe we go to the, I don't know, like the executive director of the golf course, and we say, hey, you know what? You're charging us, I don't know, let's make up a number, $5,000 to rent the greens for the golf course. And I noticed that it's $5,000 for the clubhouse, but nobody has it rented. What if I give you a $2,500 premium right now? And if it doesn't rain, you keep $2,500. But if it does rain, I don't pay the full $5,000 to come in. You know, I activate that premium and we get to come in, right? I can shift the risk to that third party, right? So that's the exam will give you some type of insurance policy example, something like that. So that's what transferring it is. Introduce a third party, put the risk on them. To mitigate a threat, focusing action to decrease the probability and or impact, right? Sometimes you can do both of the threat, right? And you can do that by prototyping and simpler processes. And in our sense, well, we can't reduce the probability of Mother Nature. She's going to rain, but we can minimize the impact. We can put up a huge tent outside, right? Our clients are hell bent on having an outdoor wedding. They don't care if it's wet, you know, so we'll put up a big tent, right? So that's mitigation. We've got to take some action, okay? Now, escalate is exactly what it sounds like. We, as the project manager for the wedding, simply call up our clients and say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we think it's going to rain Saturday. What would you like to do, right? So that's escalating. Don't overthink that one. And then acceptance, if you remember, there's two forms of acceptance. There's passive and active. So active acceptance, maybe our clients come to us and say, well, don't give the $2,500 premium. Let's just put $5,000 away. If it doesn't rain, then we didn't give them anything. If it does rain, then we'll pay the $5,000 additional to go into the clubhouse. Okay, so that will be active acceptance. That will be contingency reserves. Or passive acceptance, our clients could say something like, well, you know what? We're in love, and if you guys love us, you're going to come outside and get, you know, wet with us while we get married, you know, something like that, right? Everybody will get wet, you know, our love in the rain, something like that. So that would be a passive acceptance. Well, it might rain, and if it does, you know, oh well. All right, so those are your strategies: avoid, transfer, mitigate. Remember that. ATM. Okay. Now we have strategies for opportunities. All right, and it's not in the order I want it to be, but if you remember the movie, like Jerry Maguire, and he's like, you know, see the money. Okay, so opportunities make you money, right? That's what they usually do. They usually make you money because they save you time, they save you cost, you know, whatever it may be, but they save you money. So you want to see the money, SEE, see the money. Share, enhance, exploit. Okay, so let's talk about these three, because again, you can accept both positive and negative risk, threats and opportunities, and you can also escalate both. So share, enhance, exploit. So I'm going to change the example here, and as I look across the street, you know, I see, you know, they're going to come back. They've been doing some work. They're digging up the street. It seems like the neighbor must have, I don't know, Comcast. Do you guys have Comcast where you're at? Who's your cable company? No Comcast. Okay. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. Comcast is out here. And so every once in a while, you know, you get a bad signal and you call them up and they're like, well, it must be the wires inside your house. And they test it all and everything is fine. And then it ends up being their wires. And they can't pull new wires. So now they got to dig up the street, right? Got to go dig up the street and dig down 18 inches, remove the conduit, pull the new cable, put the, you know, conduit and all that, and patch it back up. Okay, so let's use that as our example. All right, so we're some sort of utility company and we've got to dig in the street. Okay, so our job is to you know, dig down 18 inches, and we'll call 811 first before you dig. All right, and run into any poles. I don't know if you guys have one out there. Then trench down 18 inches and then go across the street, I don't know, 30 feet, whatever that is, right? All right, so maybe we're going down and we drill, and we get, 12 inches, we get a foot down, and we start to get a little bit of liquid, and we're like, crap, we think we hit a water pipe. We didn't see any markings. We checked the drawings, and it wasn't there. So we get down 18 inches, and we realize, man, all this liquid's coming out, and then we realize that, whoa, this is not water, this is oil. Black gold, we struck gold, we got oil coming up, right? Would be crazy, but what would you do, right? So, well, we can exploit, just like in a threat, we have to change something to avoid it. In an opportunity, we have to change something to exploit it. So if our job is supposed to drill down 18 inches and then do the run horizontally across the street, well, we change that. And we say, no, we drill 18 inches, 24 inches, 36 inches, drill, baby, drill. All right, and we're trying to get that oil. Well, that's what we got to do. We got to change something. So that's how you exploit an opportunity. It's kind of like the idea. I was sending resources this way, and I saw some opportunity that way, and I said, oh, nope, I got to turn and put all my resources this way. So that's exploiting. Now, maybe we recognize that we don't know a thing about drilling for oil. It's not our specialty. Our specialty is telecommunications. So we hire, we got an uncle. Our uncle in Texas owns an oil rigging company. And so we say, hey, come down, bring your equipment, come drill this oil. We'll give you 40% of the profits. Right? Again, just like when you transfer a threat, it's a third party that you're introducing. When you share within an opportunity, you're introducing some third party. Maybe because you lack the specialty, or you can't get it done by yourself. But either way, you're going to introduce some third party, and then you guys will both share in that benefit. Now, I can't just reap all the oil money myself. I've got to give some up. Right? So that's the sharing. Or I can enhance, and I can say, you know what? We drew up for oil, and we found this oil, and so we don't really say anything. And we figure out a way over the course of time to like buy up the land and steal land from all the people around. So some companies do. And now I can drill here, and I can drill there, and I can drill there, and I can drill there, because I don't know if the oil is exactly right here. The big spot might be over there. So that's the enhancing. Like, now we've got to increase the probability and or impact of that opportunity. And so in our case, we had to increase the probability that we would get oil. And so we had to make sure that we were able to drill in multiple locations, right? That would be the enhancing. We can escalate, just like we can escalate the other one and call the boss and say, boss, we hit oil. What would you like us to do? Right? It's escalation. Don't overthink that one. And we can accept both passive and active. Active acceptance says that, okay, we see that there's oil here. There's an opportunity. Let's put aside some money to do some studies later on and see, like, is there really oil in this area? What will be the profits? How hard would it be for us to drill? What are the regulations, et cetera, et cetera? That will be the active acceptance. Put aside some money, like contingency reserves. The passive acceptance would see, you know what? We're in California. This is a green state. We burn too many fossil fuels, and we cover it up, and we don't tell anybody. Would you do that? Who's covering up the oil? None of you. Huh? You getting that oil money? Okay, well, more. I just found out the other day there's more oil rigs in California than there are in Texas. Can you believe that? And it's supposed to be like, the green state and all that.
CJ, yeah. You just wrecked the environment.
I know. I'm sorry. My mind's all over the place today. But I just see stuff and I make it. I don't know. Sorry.
Sorry. We won't take it personal.
But that's your active and your passive acceptance, right? Passive acceptance, like passive acceptance is not pursuing. Okay. All right. So that's your strategies. ATM for threats. See the money for opportunities. You can accept and escalate both positive and negative threats. And then you have the overall project risk, and you got the same thing. You either avoid the risk, you exploit it, you transfer a share, you mitigate or enhance, right? Or it's literally the combination. Avoid a threat or exploit an opportunity, do something different. Transfer or share, right? Mitigate, or you bring it, mitigate or enhance. Take some action or activity. Bring in a third party. So they're kind of now you see kind of the overall risk strategies are pretty much the same. for both positive and negative risk. It's just, you look at it from a different lens and we call it a different term. We good here? Any questions? Okay. We also do the alternative and cost benefit analysis, right? Along the way to coming up with those strategies, we would have done alternatives analysis or cost benefit analysis, right? Should we actually, drill for this oil here, right? We would have a selection of those risk responses, obviously, multi-criteria decision matrix now, right? Not just analysis, but a matrix, right? To figure out what's the best option. And these are actually pretty helpful, using a decision matrix. I don't know if anybody calls it a multi-criteria, but, I know it as just a decision matrix, but, very helpful.